Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Why Are We Like This, a Heartstopper podcast.
I'm Ashley, she, her.
I'm Alyssa, she, they, and today we're here to talk about episode 5, Friend.
Tee-hee-hee, aka the best sweaters.
Oh yeah, the best costuming. There's some great looks.
Yeah.
So, this episode was, like all of the others, written by Alice Oseman and directed by A. Ross Lynn. And according to, again, both Netflix and IMDb, and I looked, the first couple, the descriptions are different, but from 4 on, they're all the same, which I think is odd.
Interesting.
This is the one where Nick decides whether he should skip his date with Imogen for Charlie's birthday. Tao vows to protect Charlie from Nick and his rude rugby friends. Or, as I like to call it, Charlie's birthday episode.
Yeah! I am decked out in my Charlie Spring sweater and birthday button that I wore for Halloween. Specifically for this recording, I put it on.
And I love you for that. I am not dressed thematically. I mean, I'm kind of dressed thematically for the Lord of the Rings 2 Towers screening that I went to earlier. Just given like the colors, like Lord of the Rings bounding. But I'm also wearing my Jenny Owen Young's "It's Dangerous to Go Alone" shirt, which, like, you know, it's fantasy vibes. But yeah, I'm not dressed up for this particular occasion.
I have another outfit for a later episode as well.
Excellent. So let's go ahead and get started.
We start this episode off with them playing Monopoly in Charlie's room, and Nothing Else I Could Do by Ella Jane plays. And this is in my top 3 songs that I got from the soundtrack. I love this song. I listen to it constantly. I listened to it twice today, not on purpose. It's just on my playlists.
It's also like it's playing. So there's terms in film. So there's diegetic sound and non-diegetic sound are like filmmaking TV terms. Non-diegetic sound is when the sound is not in the like world. So it's not something the characters can hear. And this is like one of the only times that we get diegetic sound in the show, because we see that like there's like I don't think it's on the record player, but we see like a Bluetooth speaker or something. Yeah. And like they're listening to the song, like it's on their playlist in the background while they are playing Monopoly.
Yeah. And also, I'm going to put my foot down. I'm going to draw a line here. Fuck Monopoly. I would be Isaac.
Yeah. So we're very clearly hours into this game of Monopoly. Isaac and Elle are both out. And Elle is begging Charlie and Tao to call it a draw because it's nearly midnight. Which is like nothing when you're having a sleepover with your friends in high school, but I get it.
I think it was just to show that they've been playing for a long time. She's like, come on.
Yeah. It's a long time to be playing Monopoly, especially when you're out of the game. It's fucking boring.
Yeah.
Tao doesn't want to call it a draw because, and I quote, "I'm clearly winning. I just have unlucky rolls." But Charlie disagrees because he has more money.
Which is the goal. I have to agree with Charlie on this
so
one.
I, being the person that I am, did in fact Google the rules of Monopoly, which clearly state that the object of the game is to become the wealthiest player through buying, renting, and selling property. Ergo, Charlie is winning.
Tao's just stubborn.
Tao is just stubborn. He also says that Charlie knows all of the Monopoly cheats. Which, what?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
And then Isaac is our true hero and just accidentally kicks the game board over. So I finally got my husband to watch the show. I'm very happy about it. He agreed to watch the show, and when we watched this episode, he made the very astute point that it's really easy to reset a Monopoly board because everyone has all the cards of like where all of their different properties are.
Oh,
so this is very much the fact that they agree to call it a draw. It's just like, ugh, fuck it. Like,
yeah, I think, well, also like Isaac kicking the board over like that is a clear indication that their friends are over it. It's time to fucking move on. But I do wish that we could have seen like what little characters they each chose.
Yes, I would love to know that. An important time to note that Isaac is reading Pride and Prejudice.
Oh.
Which means that now I have a headcanon about Isaac. I have a few Isaac headcanons in this episode. This is the first one. So I've decided that Pride and Prejudice is a comfort read for him, which then prompted me to question whether Isaac would be a bigger fan of the 1995 BBC miniseries with Colin Firth or the 2005 movie with Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadyen. And after some consideration, I've decided that Isaac definitely prefers the 1995 miniseries because, number one, Colin Firth, and number two, it is a more faithful adaptation. And I think that that's something that would really matter to Isaac.
For sure.
And then I added a few notes of also, this is thematically resonant because there's a lot of Pride and Prejudice in this episode, especially on Tao's part. And then there's also the Pride and Prejudice mini comic that's like Nick's dream, and Pride and Prejudice plays like a role in Solitaire. So very clearly, Alice likes Pride and Prejudice.
I love that you say that it's a comfort read for Isaac because it would make sense that he wouldn't bring something that he really needed to focus on because there's going to be a lot like going on that he's going to want to like be involved in. So having a comfort read where he can like stop and come back to it and not have to like process what he's taking in very much, like that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. And then, so then we jump to like a little bit later on and Charlie and Isaac are elsewhere. And so Tao and Elle are talking. They're trying to figure out when or how to tell Charlie that they overheard Nick agreeing to go on a date with Imogen at the rugby match.
And Elle's fucking over it.
Elle is over it. And Tao says that he doesn't like Nick, primarily based on who his friends are. And this is a Tao scene that I like. He says that if Nick or his friends are mean to Charlie, he's going to crush them verbally, and just the delivery on that is so good. It's really hard not to like, and also it's super relatable. I am like the mom friend. I'm an eldest daughter. It's embedded into my DNA. I feel this way about people all the time. So it's relatable.
Yeah.
Elle, however, does not approve of this tactic.
No.
She is correct.
Yeah, she's like, that doesn't sound very safe. And he's like, what does he say? Like, I
didn't write it down.
He's like, I don't live safely or something like that.
I don't remember what it is.
But it gave me, every time I watch it, it makes me think of The Lion King whenever he's like, I laugh in the face of danger.
That's funny. So Tao decides that they're going to tell Charlie when he comes back into the room. And Elle is very reluctant, but she agrees because she's just tired of it.
If it'll make you shut up about it. Yeah. Which he still does not get this hint. Like, he's still, like, in his own world, not really paying attention to what she's saying to him in this moment because he just keeps going.
I just caught a glimpse of my note, and I just would like to share that I wrote, Elle reluctantly agrees because she's tired of them talking about this. And then in parentheses, I wrote, and so am I.
Oh, man. He's like obsessing over it. It's a bit much.
It's a bit much. And then Tao asks if he's not entertaining enough for Elle. And Urban Angel 1999 comes on. And he suggests that he performs a piece of interpretive dance. And this is, in fact, my favorite Tao moment of the entire series. This is probably, like, it's really hard for me to say this. It's not my favorite Tao episode. It's not my favorite Tao episode because he does a lot of shitty stuff, but some of my favorite Tao moments are in this episode.
Yeah.
And so Tao is dancing.
Oh my God. William McGowl. I wonder if they choreographed this or if they just let him do his own thing because it's brilliant.
It's incredible. And if they did, in fact, just let Will improvise, I want all of the outtakes. All of them.
Yes. Yeah. Just unedited reel. Just put it out there.
Yes, please. Elle says that this is worse. Tao says that she just can't recognize talent when she sees it.
And she's like, no, I do, but this isn't it.
Yeah. And then Tao says, I can't believe this whole conversation was a ploy for you to witness my incredibly erotic dance moves while doing the most awkward, lanky teen boy dance I've ever seen in my life. And then he announces that he is twerking, which mostly involves of him just sticking his butt out and scooting backwards.
Yeah.
And going twerk.
This is some hardcore flirting.
Hardcore. And then it gets even more intense flirting because it turns into a pillow fight.
Yep. If Charlie and Isaac hadn't walked back in, this absolutely would have led to an almost kiss.
Or just a kiss.
I don't think they're there yet. Both of them are too panicky.
That's true. Anyway, Charlie and Isaac return with hot chocolate, and Charlie asks if he even wants to know. I said, no, Charlie. No, you do not.
You don't.
Because if you think about it too hard, you're going to start thinking about your best friends making out on your bed, and no one wants that.
Yep.
Because that's just what high schoolers do. That's where they take that line of thought.
And then he does not even, they don't get a chance to bring up Nick and Imogen because Charlie's like, I'm going to strike right now and just let them know. I want to invite Nick to my birthday party, but I didn't know if it would be okay because I thought it might be awkward for you two. And Tao just folds into himself fuck.
And Elle too, she has just a little bit of a look.
Yeah.
But really quick, before we get into this conversation, I want to talk about how the deleted scene that I want is the deleted scene of Charlie and Isaac downstairs making the hot chocolate and talking about how Tao and Elle are definitely in love. That's the scene that I want. I want the way that they have all these conversations about Nick and Charlie. I want Isaac and Charlie doing that about the two of them. Please.
Yeah. And Isaac is just fucking cheesing so big. And he's like, oh, I assumed he was going to be there anyway. Unsaid, but definitely implied, because he's your boyfriend, Charlie.
That's it's in the eyes. He's just just smug as all. I love it. I love him. He's great. And Tao and Elle kind of share this silent, concerned look, and they sip their hot chocolate. Although before Isaac says, I'm just I'm looking at my notes in the wrong order. Before Isaac says that he assumed Nick was coming anyway, Elle very quickly jumps in and is like, of course it's not going to be awkward. And Elle,
it's going to be awkward.
I'm I get that you want to be supportive, but of all of the people in this room right now, you know the most how awkward this could get. And oh boy, does it get awkward.
Yeah. Ooh. But Tao doesn't say anything. He just remains quiet.
Which is the correct thing for him to do in this situation.
Yes.
Anything else that he does is just going to make it 10 times worse and cause a blow up. And no one wants that at their birthday sleepover.
Yeah, well, they don't want it in their fucking bowling party either, but here we are.
Although I do get that, if he couldn't say it now, I think that the bowling party just threw him over the edge.
I have a different moment before the bowling party that's a perfect opportunity, and he doesn't do it.
I think I know what you're talking about, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
I love this title card.
Oh, it's so good.
Right? And I actually, normally my note is just title card, right?
Yeah.
But I have a paragraph. I said, I love the arcade effects because I do the sound effects and the little pew pews. And the artwork. And then I also said that it does a really good job of encapsulating the ways that this is a Towel episode just as much as it is a Nick and Charlie episode.
Yeah.
Because yes, we have all of this stuff about Charlie talking about how Nick is his friend because they're keeping their relationship secret. But also Tao and Elle are realizing their feelings for each other and how that's going to complicate their friendship. especially given the pact that Tao made them make in Kiss. Yep. So there's a lot going on here.
Yeah. Should we talk about the deleted scene they released? Because that would have been at the sleepover.
Yeah, we should. I should have rewatched that in advance of this, but I
didn't rewatch it either. But I'm pretty sure it was just Tao and Elle laying side by side, and Tao says, like, I don't want to be alone. Mm-hmm. And Elle says, you're not alone. And she, like, kind of hugs him, and then she gets the, like...
sparks.
Fireworks. Yeah, the sparks fly. And, like, how cute.
It's really cute. I get why they deleted it, because the episode, you know, you're trying to keep a certain amount of time, and I think that the arcade montage does a good job of
for sure
encapsulating like the feelings that they're having for each other and the way that that's developing, especially for Elle. So I get why they deleted it, but I'm very glad that they released it to us because it is quite cute.
It was so cute.
I saw a bunch of people saying that they should have took the dance scene out and kept that in, and hard disagree.
Absolutely not.
Hard disagree.
Yeah, the dance scene is perfect.
It is. And I also think that that's like really essential to like part of their like whole relationship arc.
Yeah. So then we go to the school gate. Mm-hmm. And Nick is sitting on the picnic tables with Imogen. And he starts to say, Imogen, about our date. And you can really tell from like his face and his body language, he's trying really hard to be gentle with her, like from the beginning, which we already know because like that's part of the reason why he said yes, is because he didn't want her to be embarrassed.
Yeah. He's just Nick.
I know. Nick Nelson is a pure soul.
Yes. And then before he's able to say more, he realizes that she's crying. And I do kind of wish that we had seen Nick walk up to her so that it's not like he's just been sitting next to her, like hyping himself up this whole time, not noticing that she's openly weeping.
Yeah, that's true. I've never thought about that.
Eddie pointed it out to me when we were watching it, and now I can't unsee it. So, thanks for that.
But that is something that a teenage boy would do.
Oh, totally. Especially because he's just like so in his head about like what he's trying to say. And like you've totally been in a situation where you're like hyper fixating on, okay, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? Oh, come on. I got to do this. Let's do this. You can do this. Talk. Let's do it. And you don't know what the fuck is going on around you at all.
Nope. Yeah.
But so he asks what's wrong. And Imogen reveals that her dog died last night and that he was really old. And they knew it was coming, but it's still really sad because it is.
Yeah. Losing a pet is really hard.
Yeah. And she shows us like a picture of this very old, very cute dog. And she says that this is the worst week ever. And we cut to
Nick.
what
else happened?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what else happened? But also, I feel like something like that when you're a teenager is enough to make it the worst week of your entire life.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, I feel like when I was a teenager, every week was the worst week of my entire life.
Yeah, everything is life and death.
Yeah. But then we cut to Nick's face, and his face is like, oh, fuck, well, I can't cancel if this is already the worst week ever.
No, I love it when she's like, what were you going to say about our date? And you could tell that he just like scrunches his face like, I can't say what I was going to say.
Nothing. Nothing is the new normal for Nick Nelson.
Everything is normal.
And then Imogen suggests the most teenage British date that I've ever found. Like, if you asked me what British teenagers did on dates, I would say, I don't know, probably Nando's and a movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the equivalent of my friends and I going to Chili's and then going to a movie.
Right. But I mean, that is kind of like what it's like dating as a teen, though.
Yeah. Because, like, what else are you going to do?
Right. I mean, there are, like, shenanigan dates, you know, where you, like, go to the park and make out in the woods.
Yeah, but like, they're not there yet.
They're not there yet. Yeah. Yeah. So then we cut to form, and they're taking attendance. Do you want to talk about that before we get into the dialogue between?
So I watched this with the subtitles on, and so in a lot of the background shots of the school, and like a lot of the just like white shots of the school, it is very white. There are a lot of white people at this school. But that being said, there sure are a lot of students with ethnic names in this class. Just a lot of ethnic minorities in this class. Because we've got Yusuf, Ahmed, Kumar, Oscar, Zeke, spelt Zikh, Hakim, and Amir.
I noticed that too. I was like, where are these kids?
I know. I'm pretty sure the only non-white characters I've seen are Sai and Otis. And yet, so I'm convinced that every non-white student in the school, except for Sai and Otis, is in this form group. Because where are all of these kids?
Mm-hmm.
In any of the background shots?
Yeah.
You could have got a couple of like Black and Asian and Middle Eastern, and I said Asian, I meant to say South Asian, but like also, right? You could have gotten any like ethnic minorities at all. And like, to be fair, Oscar could be from like Spanish. It could be Spanish.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I associate that name much more with like Latin America than I do with Spain.
Yeah. So then we see Charlie reach over and tap Nick
with his pinky. It's so
with his
cute.
little pinky. And my note is just in all caps, you are shoulder to shoulder. You can just whisper. You don't have to tap him.
Yeah, but it's cute.
They're
it's
just like trying to touch a little bit more than they already are.
But it's cute, and it's also like a callback to previous episodes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not mad about it.
I'm not mad about it. I just thought it was hilarious.
Also, I'm very impressed with Charlie's pinky dexterity. Because it goes pretty far.
Yeah.
So.
And he says, it's kind of my birthday on Saturday. Which, did you watch the Trixie Mattel and Katya react to Heartstopper?
I have not yet. I must confess, I'm not a big drag queen person.
Mm-hmm.
It's on my radar. It's not something that I am actively feeling compelled to go to.
It's hilarious. I highly recommend it.
All right.
But that's something that they point out. Trixie was like, it's kind of your birthday. You're just like, not sure. Like, my mom was on a lot of opiates when I was a kid. Like,
so I wrote this down later on. But so when Nick is like, thanks for giving me barely enough time to get you a present, and Charlie says he doesn't have to, my first thought was, as a Leo, I could never. So I was like, wait a minute, let me double check what is Charlie's sign. So, Ashley, in case you're wondering where the big 3 text I sent you earlier was from, it was from this exact moment when I was watching this.
Gotcha.
So I happen to have my e-reader nearby, and I have the Heartstopper yearbook on my e-reader. So I grabbed it and I like paged through to the Charlie profile, and his birthday is April 27th, which means he's a Taurus. And my brother is also a Taurus. And from that frame of reference, this tracks, because my brother doesn't make a big deal about his birthday, isn't big on gifts. And I just, as a Leo, surrounded by other Leos, it does not...
Yeah. Compute.
It does not compute. I'm just like, no, things, attention, me.
Yeah, well, I'm also a Leo, so I agree with you.
Yes.
But I have Taurus friends, and I would say the only difference is that both of the Taurus friends that I have are big, like, gift giving is like one of their love languages. So I feel like they maybe don't make as big of a deal about getting gifts, but then they do get a lot of gifts because they're constantly giving out gifts. And so then they like are obviously like, oh my God, look at what I got. Look at what I got. Look at what I got. You know, so
gift giving being a Taurus thing tracks.
Yeah.
I have a Taurus rising. So like, I'm like, I kind of get it.
I do want to point out when Nick, reaches his pinky over to tap Charlie back and say, thanks for giving me barely any time to give you a gift. His little tap lingers a bit longer than Charlie's did. And I was like, ooh. Also, that's the shot that I'm getting for my tattoo is Nick's pinky reaching over and tapping Charlie.
That's so cute. I love that. In the middle of this conversation, Mr. Lang calls them out for talking and tells them to keep it down. And I would just like to note that speaking as a teacher, Mr. Lang definitely knows about the two of them.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
He's like, God damn it. I can't believe I put these two together.
Yeah,
I personally would like to thank you, Mr. Lang.
Yeah. Listen, they're going to invite Mr. Lang to their wedding.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to shout him out Tao is going to shout him out in his best man speech.
So then we go back to the school gates, which I had to pause and do some thinking for a second because I was like, wait, we just came from the school gates and now we're back at the school gates. What time is it? And then I realized they were leaving school.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, day's over. Got it. Mm-hmm. And Harry walks up to Nick and he's like, I heard about your date on Saturday. And Nick is like, date? It's a birthday party. It's normal to go to friends' birthday parties. Everything's normal. Imogen? Oh, right. Imogen. I forgot.
And Nick he feels so bad that he forgot.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's like so much that he forgot, but so much that like he's double booked himself and he knows which one he's going to be going to.
Yeah.
And so it's that realization of like, shit, her dog died, but I still have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And poor Imogen is telling everyone about it, and it breaks my heart.
I love her.
I love her too. So then we cut to Tao and Charlie walking out towards the school gate, and Tao says, we can get there around 4, and then we can play 2 games, and then play some games at the arcade.
I was like, this is giving me Virgo energy. And I looked it up, and Tao's birthday is September 23rd, which means he's a Virgo Libra cusp.
That tracks right there.
It does. Like, I was like, Tao is planning Charlie's birthday for him. It's giving Virgo. And then I was like, he's a Virgo Libra cusp. And that makes a lot of things make sense for me.
Yes, it does. So then it cuts back to Harry, who sees them coming. And of course, he's going to be a fucking asshole and picks up it kind of looks like leftover lunch or something, like just like
a crumbled up piece of paper because they're teenage boys.
It goes way too far for it to be paper. It's got to have something in it for it to go that far. But throws it at Tao and Charlie, and Tao fucking bolts.
Oh yeah,
he is having none of this, and he shoulder bumps Harry.
Calls him a dick nozzle.
Yeah, this is when we get Dick Nozzle, which, by the way, Cassandra got on our YouTube and listened to our Georgie episode, and she was like, I've definitely used the term Dees. And she was like, also, I've called someone a Dick Nozzle before. And I was like, okay, well, there we go.
And answered, okay. But yeah, Tao is pissed. Nick tries to jump in and stop Harry. Which just
doesn't go well.
Yeah, Harry asks if Nick is best friends with these weird little year 10s now. Which year 10 is a year younger than you. Get
over yourself.
Like,
yeah.
You're not even, like, if they were a couple years older, if they were, like, in 6th form, I get it. But they're not. It's a year difference.
I love this Tao, though. This is, like, very much a Tao that I'm like, yeah, you fucking tell him, Tao. Like, fuck this asshole. Shoulder check that bitch.
I have a different read on this situation, which I'll get to later. But Harry then asks Nick if he's gay for them, meaning for Charlie and Tao.
And Nick shuts down.
Yeah. Which, right,
you can see everything like run through his face. There's fear, regret, sadness, like everything. And he looks at Charlie, who is staring at Nick, obviously.
Yeah, it's like, what do we do?
Yeah. And Tao to the rescue again.
Classic Harry. Resorting to homophobia when you can't think of a good comeback.
Yep. He's got a lot of good comeback.
Yeah,
like, Tao is like on fire.
On the whole, I have a lot of feelings about that scene, but this line and the following line are pretty good. Pretty good. So then Harry's like, mate, are you in a mood today? Tao's always in a mood. Which, like,
and fuck you for saying that, because you just threw garbage at them. Like, yeah, I'm in a mood, you asshole.
So then Tao says, "Are you? Serious question. Life must be really hard when your only personality trait is rich bellend."
And the way that he enunciates and like even his like body language when he says rich bellend,
it's perfect. And it works. It shuts Harry down.
Yeah. And he looks legitimately hurt too.
Yeah, because it's true. His only personality trait is rich bellend.
And he knows it.
Mm-hmm. So Tao and Charlie leave, and although I said that kind of like Tao kind of pulls Charlie along and removes them from the situation. And Charlie is upset, and he's like, "I know you're trying to help, but you're only making things worse." Tao says he's sticking up for Charlie and that they have to show Harry that he can't walk all over them. And this is where I have feelings, because I get it. I get the sentiment, but one, Charlie hasn't asked you to stick up for him. Two, if we look at the following episodes, and like obviously Tao doesn't have foresight, he can't know this, but if we look at the following episodes, this is the moment that, at least on screen, we see Harry really ramping up on targeting Tao, which is a thing that bullies do, right? And so I was like, honestly, I'm wondering if the best course of action here would have been to ignore Harry entirely and kind of like done that thing where it's like, you like suck all of the oxygen out of a room to kill the fire kind of thing. But I also acknowledge that ignoring stuff like this, especially if it's a persistent issue, like Tao is kind of insinuating that it is, and we've seen kind of on screen, it is really hard to ignore, especially at this age when the testosterone is all over the place.
Like, yes, and it's been building and building and building and building.
Yeah, so I am of two minds on it, because I'm like, I get it, but also you kind of made things worse for yourself in the long run, and you're kind of like...
Yeah, you're definitely correct about that. And also that Charlie hasn't asked. That's something that I wrote down later when they're in the bathroom. It's like, he is his own person, and like you have given him your concerns, and he heard them. Like, he heard them, and he's making his own choices. You need to back off and let him do what he needs to do. But in this scene, I feel like it's a little bit more justified because it was also thrown at him.
Yeah.
So it was like not just Charlie. It would be, I think I would feel exactly like you if it had been thrown at Charlie and Tao just like ran from off screen and was like, "Hey, fuck you."
Yeah.
And so that's why I also think that line where he's like, "I'm literally just protecting or like sticking up for you." I was like, us sticking up for us.
I think it's the fact that he like, the thing that like I took issue with was that Tao was like saying, "I'm doing this for you." And I'm like, but he didn't ask. If you want to stick up for yourself, that's fine, but don't speak for what Charlie wants, because you don't know.
Right.
And it does. I just realized that I'm like, Tao just like really babies Charlie.
Yeah, he's super protective. Which, like, I know it comes from seeing him go through the horrible bullying the year before, but like, he's doing so much better. The bullying is so much better than it was. Like, it's time to let him be his own person.
Yeah. But, and I mean, I'm
You're
sure
not his mother.
Yeah. And like, to Tao's credit, I know, stop the presses. Alyssa empathizes with Tao more at 11. Or actually more right now. So, to Tao's credit, you know, I'm sure that you've had this happen where you go through something like really difficult or traumatizing, and people kind of like treat you with the kid gloves because they don't know how to handle it. But that's where my next note comes in, which I think you're going to enjoy. I also tweeted about it earlier, so if you saw my tweet.
I did see it.
Yeah, so you know it's coming.
I know it's coming.
But I feel like so much of the tension between Tao and Charlie could be resolved if they just talked to each other. Like, they don't even have to get into specifics. Charlie doesn't have to say that he's dating Nick or anything like that. And so I have decided that what needs to happen is that Elle and Isaac need to band together and lock the two of them in a closet until they talk it out. Which made me realize that that would have been an excellent episode of the show if it was like full order sitcom
Right.
Where, you know, they had 22 episodes and at least 3 of them were like bottle episode filler.
Like fillers, yeah.
That
would have been a good one.
Yes. So then I wrote, fuck, I'm going to have to write this fic, aren't I?
Yes. And please give us like the shenanigans of everybody else outside of it. Like,
it's going
because you know they're all like hanging out, just like waiting for them to work it out so that they can all hang out together.
Oh, they're just like sitting on the other side of the door.
Yeah,
like, Elle's got her sketchbook. Isaac has a stack of novels. Because he doesn't know how long they're going to be there, so he's come prepared, like I do on vacation, where I bring like 30 books, even though I know I'm not going to read all of them in 5 days.
Hey, you got to have options, just in case.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say about that is I fully imagine that it's going to begin with Elle and Isaac, like, talking about it and being like, oh my god, these two need to just have a fucking conversation.
Yeah. So then they've had this back and forth, and Tao looks over and sees Nick and Imogen talking. And this is the moment. This would have been a perfect, you have the opening of this discussion you've just had. There's literal evidence standing across, 15, 20 feet away?
Yeah.
So, like, this would have been a good moment to bring it up and say, oh, we don't want to hurt your new best friend. He's going on a date. I know you have a crush on him. Like, he's going on a date with Imogen. Look at them. She's, like, rubbing all over him. Like, can't you see what's happening?
Yeah.
That would have been the moment. Not at his fucking birthday party, Tao. Read the room.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I also think that it would have, like, worked in Tao's favor because, like, he's, like, frustrated, and I feel like he would want to get a jab in to try and turn Charlie against Nick. So it's kind of, it almost makes more sense for him to have done it here than at Charlie's birthday.
And I have notes about the bathroom scene.
I'm sure you do. Please, I'm excited. But before we get there, Nick is looking at Instagram, and there's like a picture that Imogen posted of the two of them, and it's the same one that Imogen showed to Tara, Darcy, and Elle last episode.
Which tells us that it's the only one.
Oh, definitely. And then there's a picture of Charlie and Elle that Charlie posted. And they're just so cute.
Being so cute.
I love that.
Giving little peace signs. That was the inspiration for my story that I put up in my outfit.
Awesome.
If you're not following us on social, you get some interesting photos from us. Oh, and then Oscar winner Olivia Colman walks in.
I love her. But she comes home and immediately notices that something's off. And she's like unloading her groceries.
Yeah, and she asks how his day was, and he just says, Which, like, pretty easy to clock. Something's up.
Yeah. He explains that he said he'd go out with this girl, but he also agreed to go to Charlie's birthday party. And Sarah is trying to be very encouraging and interested and enthusiastic, not knowing the landmine that she is just
situation. Yeah. Oh my gosh. She starts smiling. She's like, ooh, do you like this girl?
And Nick's just like, well,
her dog died. And Olivia Colman's face. I'm like, another Oscar. Yes. Give it.
Yes. Didn't she win the Emmy? She won an Emmy as well for this, I believe.
Yeah, she did. Mm-hmm.
Nelson Excellence.
Yes.
So she just goes, not following.
And then he goes on just like the cutest little nervous rant about everything that happened.
I love everything about like Sarah's body language, like everything that Olivia Colman is doing. She's like very intent and engaged. She's taking this seriously. She's showing that she cares. And it's just, it's really subtle, but she's like got like serious mom face on. She's like leaned forward listening. She's stopped what she's doing. And it's just like, this is good parenting. This is good parenting.
Yes. I mean, mom of the year, mom of the decade,
mom of the century.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And she says, oh, well, you know, you shouldn't go out with someone just because you feel sorry for them.
Which is true.
Which is a true statement. And his face is like, fuck, I know, fuck. Mm-hmm. And that's when she says, oh, don't worry, the right girl will come along. Just you wait. And she is trying, that's such a supportive, like, she's just trying to make him feel better about it, but really she makes him feel like shit because he's like,
I know. I love the way that this is shot too, because like the camera is like still on Sarah, and just Nick's head like turns and he's in profile and he just like leans back and lets out just like the slightest exasperated sigh. And I'm like, it's great. It's so good.
Yeah. Very good direction.
Awesome directing. But then If You Want To starts. And this is one of my top songs.
Nice.
I love it. And we cut to the bowling alley. I don't know what bowling alleys are like near you, but I've never, outside of like arcade game bowling, I've never seen like all the pins attached to strings like that.
I had that thought too, and I was like, is it just because I'm not close up and it's like a black background and I can't see the string? Or is that because normally they go back, right? And then a new batch comes down.
No, so because like every single bowling alley that I've been to, and like granted, I hate bowling. The sound of like all the pins crashing on all the lanes plus the music and everyone talking, it's a sensory nightmare for me.
Yeah.
I hate it. But all of the bowling alleys I've ever been to, they have a machine that comes down and like closes on the pins that are still standing, and that lifts up, and there's a bar that pushes the fallen pins back.
Yeah, back.
Right? And then it comes back down. And the only time I've ever seen them on strings was where it was like skee ball but bowling, like an arcade game.
Interesting.
I've never seen an actual proper bowling alley. So I don't know if this is a UK thing. I don't know if it's a Hollywood
Georgie.
Bowl. Yeah, I don't know if it's
we have more questions.
I don't know if it's a Hollywood Bowl specific thing. I don't know if this is some newfangled bowling technology that I am not privy to because I haven't been bowling in like 5 years. But I don't know.
I went bowling literally this past October, and it was like you said, they all go back into a thing. But like what I was saying is like once your turn is over, it sweeps them away and then a new batch is put. Yeah,
that definitely.
So I was like, I had that thought too, but I didn't write it down because I was like, I don't know, maybe I just like haven't paid enough attention. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. And then we get Charlie's sweater.
Okay. Yes. The sweater's fucking amazing. I want it. It's super expensive. I looked it up. It's also vastly different because of the black lights. So the colors are way different, but it's still super cute. But this motherfucker is standing up by the doors. What are you doing, Charlie?
He's just standing there waiting for Nick.
Looking like he's going to cry. I'm like, God, why didn't you wait at the lane? He will find you.
But I love his little 15 badge. Also, this is what I was talking about in the Ask Georgie episode where I thought it looked handmade. I can't help assuming that in universe Elle made it.
That's what I said too.
I tried to look up if like we have any confirmation that Alice made it for the show because it kind of has similar like.
Oh yeah.
But I couldn't find anything, so I'm choosing to believe that Alice drew that.
If it was handmade, it would have, like, Alice, of course, would have done it.
And then also a sidebar. So in the shot where we see Charlie standing and looking at the door, to the right, we see a Jurassic Park Raw Thrills arcade game. It's like one of the ones you sit in and you shoot. And personal story. Eddie and I go to Ocean City, Maryland almost every year. It's like one of my favorite places in the entire world. I've been going there since I was like 4 years old. And we have a favorite arcade in Ocean City, Maryland. For those of you who've been there, it's the Funcade between 9th and 10th Streets on the boardwalk. We like it there because it's not as crowded as the other ones, and it's also air conditioned.
Yes.
And
a necessity.
Yeah, and they have this game. They have this Jurassic Park shooter game. I love that. And we play it every time that we go. And like for a while that was the only place that we ever saw it, but in the last few years we've been seeing it Like the movie theater that we go to has it. There's another movie theater that we sometimes go to but don't prefer that also has it. So like it's been cropping up a bit more. We were actually talking about it the other day. Actually, when we watched this episode, how it's kind of sad that, you know, it used to just be the special thing we'd get to play in Ocean City.
Yeah. It's like a little piece of you.
Yeah.
A little piece of you made it into Heartstopper.
And we still only play it in Ocean City.
I love that.
Charlie is like, you're here. You came. He's like genuinely surprised. Which, like, okay. I get it. Because Nick is the last one there. Nick doesn't know any of Charlie's friends. They're trying to keep their relationship a secret. I wouldn't be surprised if Charlie's just worried that Nick decided not to come because he was too, like, worried.
Especially after the Harry thing.
Yeah.
In the scene before, so.
Mm-hmm. And so I think that it makes sense that he's, like, standing there, like, really eagerly, like, anxiously waiting, and he gets so excited. And Nick is just like, yes, of course I came. And I'm like, oh.
Sweet baby. And then he's like, am I the first one here? He's like, no, actually you're the last. And his little face falters just a little bit. He's like, oh, shit.
But it's great because it gives Charlie a chance to just do a quick rundown of who's who before.
Which I guess is another reason why he was waiting away from the group.
Yeah.
But it just like, it makes my own anxiety spike that he was standing up by the door.
Yeah, because then you, like, if he didn't come, you'd have to do the, like, walk of shame back.
Walk of shame.
Like, I guess he's not coming. And then all your friends are going to feel bad for you.
And then Tao's going to be like, I told you so.
Yeah, it's just...
There's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot.
And he immediately recognizes Elle. He's like, I feel like I know her from somewhere. Mm-hmm. Which Charlie immediately is like, oh no, she was in your grade, but now she's at Higgs.
Yeah.
And I feel like him recognizing her, but not really being able to pinpoint who she is another indication that he's like aware of the bullying that Harry is doing, but not really paying enough attention to know like who he's bullying and what for.
Yeah.
Because we find out later that Harry was bullying Elle for being trans, and that's something that like if you're in his orbit, I feel like you would have known, but Nick is just kind of like checked out of that narrative.
Yeah. I also, it like slightly deviates from the comics where Nick recognizes her.
Yes.
And like almost dead names her because he doesn't know.
And Charlie cuts him off.
I like the way that it's in here better where Nick's just like, I recognize, like, you know, like doesn't put two and two together, but like recognizes her. I like it. Also, everything about Elle is perfect here. Hair, perfect. Outfit.
Yes,
perfect.
outfit. Yep.
Everything, perfect.
Makeup.
I love you.
Yes.
I love you, Elle.
Yes. Yes. Hard agree. And I love Isaac's Daisy shirt.
Yes. I like all of the outfits in this scene.
I think this is the second time that we've seen Isaac wearing Daisy print because he had the sweater on, or it might be coming up. Maybe this is the first time, but there's two times because he has a Daisy sweater.
Time to rewatch the entire series again just to double check.
Oh no!
Yeah. So, and then our little introduction to Isaac for Nick is that's Isaac. He doesn't say a lot, but he's really nice. And this is where we see Isaac reading Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. Which actually, we previously saw it on Charlie's shelf, and I'm wondering if maybe Isaac
snagged it at the birthday party. I could see that.
But I'm also like, that was like a couple days later, and I find it hard to believe that it took him that long to pick it up, to like read it.
I mean, I feel like he has a constant stack, and when he gets one, it goes to the bottom, and he, you know, so I feel like, you know, he had a couple on hand to read in the couple of days it's been.
Maybe Isaac's a mood reader, and he just kind of reaches for whatever he's feeling.
Oh, maybe.
And I just added notably that Aled Last is one of the main characters in Radio Silence, who in the comics is the fourth member of Tao, Charlie, and Elle's friend group. And I knew that Alice had made a statement about why they chose to replace Aled in the show. So I found it via Twitter on January 21st, 2021, which interestingly was my sister's 21st birthday. Yeah. And they said that they did not feel I could give Aled a truly satisfying, complex storyline in the show while having to totally ignore the events of Radio Silence. To include Aled in the Heartstopper show and give him a satisfying storyline would almost certainly involve having to change and or ignore major elements of the story of Radio Silence, which is not what I or any of you want, I hope. Which makes sense. Also, I think we talked about this previously, but I've also seen elsewhere they cut Ollie out of the show because of the labor laws surrounding working with young child actors. And just like the logistics around
speculated.
That. Yeah, but confirmed now.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, like, comparing the comic to this scene, Isaac's lines are like exactly what Aled says. And so I love that, like, he's reading the book and they kept it like very like exactly the same for this scene, which is nice.
I like that that's the book that they like of all of Alice's books. I like that that's the one that they chose to kind of Easter egg in there.
Yeah.
Then Charlie says about Tao, and you know Tao, sorry in advance if he says anything rude to you. That's just the way he is.
Which is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they walk up and he's like, everybody, this is Nick. As if they don't fucking know. Man, fucking Tao just sits down and crosses his arms.
Yeah, like Elle and Isaac try, and they're like making Nick feel included and welcome, and Tao is just moping.
Yeah, what I was going to say is like Tao immediately sits down and crosses his arms, and Elle like looks at Tao and then looks at Nick, and she's like, oh, good. I'm like, thank you, Elle, for like coming to the rescue and being like, oh, come on over. We're just choosing names. Don't pay any attention to this guy. Come look at the screen.
And Charlie asks Tao to at least try to get to know Nick, which is such a fair request. He's not even asking Tao to try and get along with him.
Yeah, just get to know him. And his little, like, smile, he's like,
please,
can you
for me? It's my birthday.
Yeah.
And Tao's just like, I'll try. And he like really doesn't want to. And I really don't think that he does try.
No.
But then I stopped caring about that because we get Buzzkill bowling montage.
Buzzkill starts. Buzzkill was my number one most played song in 2022 on my Spotify, which tells you what kind of year I had. But yes, then we get the montage. Also, I like these bowling balls that look like soccer balls.
Yeah, I wrote that too. I was like, what if the bowling balls looks like a soccer ball?
I'm like, can we get those? I like that.
Yeah. In this first sequence, everyone except for Elle and Nick sucks at bowling. They all gutter. They all gutter. Elle knocks down 1 pin, and then Nick knocks down 7 or 8.
Yeah. I love also, my note says... And then it's Tao's turn, and he throws the ball with way too much force, just like the rest of his personality.
Where is the lie? There is none. Charlie and Nick do a very bad job of acting like platonic BFFs.
Yeah, they almost hug.
Yeah, they're looking at each other very lovingly when Nick knocks down like a bunch of pins. They almost hug. Charlie apologizes, and I'm like,
yeah, I was like, baby boy, you both did it. It's not you.
And like Nick went into that just as enthusiastic as you did.
But the way I laugh every time at like how quickly they hit their brakes so hard. They're like, shit.
It's not the first time we've seen them do that though, because in Kiss, when they run into each other, they do the same thing.
But also, I put in all caps at the breaks that they did, the almost hug. Tao, how are you still oblivious? Are you watching the same boys that we are?
Yeah, I think I wrote something similar later on. And then one of my notes is, oh, hey, Isaac did better the second time. And so did everyone else, apparently. Because, like, there's the second shot that we see of them bowling. Everyone knocks down some pins.
Yeah. Just take a little, they had to warm up.
Yeah. When I do go bowling, I play with the bumpers up.
Me too. I do too. I insist on it. So Nick beats Elle. Elle's like, I was so close.
And then these two boys do the gayest thing.
Oh my God.
all season. Charlie accuses Nick of cheating because of his strong rugby arms and the way that he touches Nick's arm.
Gay!
Yeah, it's the gayest shit I've ever seen.
He, like, squeezes his bicep. Like, that was... The strong rugby arms line was an excuse to touch Nick's muscles.
Oh, yeah. And Tao is mopey and sad. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you're looking at this and you still think that Nick is just toying with Charlie. I mean, I guess with this moment, because it's mostly Charlie doing the flirting, I guess you could still kind of, like, selectively decide that. But also, there's other stuff that we see them do in this episode.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
But then Charlie says, you've got an unfair advantage. And Nick, he's like, I thought you liked my arms. And he's like, fake hurt. And it's so cute. So actually, I wrote, Charlie, you've got an unfair advantage. Nick, I thought you liked my arms. Me, cackling and trying not to spit take hot tea all over my keyboard. Although I've seen this more times than I can count.
But this is when we get Isaac reading, right? But you know he's so aware of everything that's going on around him all the time. And he's taking in the two situations and he's like,
round two?
Yeah, let me just step in and let's continue playing, please, for the love of God.
And then Charlie says he wants to just, excuse himself to the restroom first, which, good idea. That's what the break in between games of bowling is. It's to refill your snacks and also to, like, use the bathroom. And when Charlie leaves, Nick goes over to ask Isaac about his book.
It's so cute. I love that he's, like, making an effort. He's like, so tell me about your book. Like, first of all, Tal, if you had been paying the fuck attention, this would have been an indication that he's just, like, a friend, like a good person, like has no malintent. Like, if he was there to fuck with Charlie, he wouldn't be asking Isaac about his book.
Yeah. And this is my second Isaac headcanon.
Ooh, yes.
So I'd like to imagine, right? I actually, like, during the conversation with Tao and Elle, I tried to listen in the background to what Isaac was saying. I couldn't. If I had more time, I probably would have, like, tried harder. But I was running out of that because I finished my.
Somebody can tell us, because I've seen it on the internet, but I can't remember what the dialogue was.
Yeah. But my headcanon here is that at some point Nick, probably just being nice, like, said, "Oh, that sounds interesting. Maybe I'll read that." And Isaac fully was like, "I'll probably finish it before we leave, so then you can. I'll just give it to you." Because that's totally something Isaac would do, and it reminded me of my cousin, who a few years ago I was in high school. At Thanksgiving, he's 11 years older than me. He's a teacher. He's part of the reason that I'm a teacher. He, like, walked into the house, said hello to me, underhand tossed me a copy of Looking for Alaska, and said, "I'm going to finish this today, and then you're going to read it."
I love that.
And thus my obsession with John Green. But it gave me just very similar vibes. And I was like, Isaac would totally do that. And then Nick would probably just not read it and return it, like, a couple weeks later and be like, yeah, hey.
I don't know. I feel like he would read it.
Maybe.
I think he would, especially if it gave him something to talk to Isaac about the next time that he's at a group hang with Charlie's friends. I think that that's something he would do.
So Tao and Elle, they're, like, talking, and Tao says he's gonna go talk to Charlie. And Elle correctly says,
yes,
it's his birthday.
I think she could have done a little bit more to stop him, in my opinion.
Yeah. Because Tao says that he has to do it now. And
it's like, no, you don't.
You had a perfectly good opportunity earlier. There's plenty of time after today. It doesn't have to be now.
Yeah.
And then so Tao goes into the bathroom after Charlie and tells Charlie that he needs to stop this thing with Nick Nelson.
And Charlie's, like, staring at himself in the mirror after he's washed his hands, like, making sure his hair is perfect and just, like, cheesing. It's so cute. And then Tao comes in and ruins it.
Yeah. And so Tao tells him that he overheard Nick agree to go on a date with some girl, which we know is Imogen. And Charlie doesn't really believe it.
Which, fair because he has hard evidence.
He has hard evidence. To the contrary.
Yeah.
Tao gets really upset. I didn't write down because I was rushing at this point. Tao gets like really upset at Charlie for not believing him.
Yeah, he's like, I'm clearly just making it up for fun.
Yeah. Which, like, fair. But also, I don't think that you're looking at the situation holistically, Tao.
No. And he's like, now you're just going to say that I am doing it because I'm jealous and I'm scared. And Charlie's like, well, aren't you? And he's like, no. And I'm like, yes, you are, Tao. Yes, you are.
Right. Yeah, so very similar to earlier, I wrote, Charlie, well, aren't you, Tao? No. Me? Yes. But before that conversation, we go back out to the like bowling alley proper. And this is another excellent Isaac moment, and I do not want us to walk past it. So Nick is going to get more chips, and he offers, do you guys want anything? Elle asks for some Coke, and she's like getting her money out to pay, and Nick's like, no, I'll pay. And Isaac says, I will also accept a can of Coke if you're paying.
If you're paying. The way he says, and he like cuts his eyes back over at Elle, like, if you're paying, like, yeah, buy us drinks.
Which again, if Tao had seen that, like Nick is trying to like be a friend.
He's making a genuine effort.
Mm-hmm. But that's also really important because at that point, Nick goes over to the food counter, which is right by the bathrooms. So he hears Tao saying that Nick is just like Harry and all the others. And Charlie is like trying to defend Nick, saying that he's basically risking everything by hanging out with me, which also feels like an exaggeration.
Yeah.
Tao doesn't care. He's like, I didn't write down what he says, but like, poor Nick, almost getting bullied because he's hanging out with someone below his popularity status. And that's where we get the line of, now you're just going to tell me I'm jealous because you made a new friend and I'm scared of being alone.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, Tao. That is entirely what's happening and you need therapy.
And you know it, and that's why you're saying it.
Yeah.
And Nick is just outside of the bathroom door listening to all of this, and his guilt is like tripling. He feels so bad, especially when he says, like, Charlie's like, do you really think he's just messing me around? Mm-hmm. And he's like, I mean, that's what it looks like. And Charlie says, but he's
my friend.
He's my friend. And Nick's heart breaks.
And my heart breaks.
You can see, like, when he starts to say he's Nick's, a little bit of fear hits him.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's going to tell him. There's a lot of emotion in this little snippet. And I think
there's also the, like, lingering guilt from Secret of, like, it would just be so much easier for Charlie.
Right. Absolutely.
I were out, and if I were ready to be out.
And they wouldn't be having this fight if I was out.
Yeah. And then we get another excellent Tao line where he says,
yes.
But he is even slightly mean to you.
Charlie's like, yeah, you'll murder him. I know.
Tao's like, I was going to say I'd send him a strongly worded DM, but murder is fine too. And I said, this is so acceptable friend behavior. I will not explain further because it is. This is acceptable friend behavior.
I do love that part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so before they walk back out, this is one of the scenes where I wish that it would be a little bit closer to the dialogue that was in the comics because I know that they had to change it up because of the Imogen situation.
Mm-hmm.
However, I feel like in the comics, it's a little bit more like reasonable because he says like he's clearly flirting with you. Even I can see that, which like goes back to the arm touching, and it's like making it a little bit more about like he feels like Nick is manipulating Charlie for a laugh, whereas the show makes it more like he's hiding behind that excuse, but is really more worried about himself and him losing a friend and losing that friendship. And it really reflects, like, it changes our feelings about Tao, mine at least. Like, I feel a lot differently and I'm a lot more harsh about show Tao than I am comic.
Oh, I
Tao.
have no patience for either of them, but we've discussed that.
I know you don't. But like it really changes like the feelings that you have about the character in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish that at the very least, I wish that line had been in there. He's clearly flirting with you. Even I can tell that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that they're leaning a lot more, like the Tao abandonment issues aren't as much of a thing in the comics.
Right.
And I think they're trying to lean more into that angle, but there's like just enough remnants of the, like, he's flirting with you, he's messing with you, that it's weird, especially because I actually had a note where I said, Tao says it looks like Nick's messing with Charlie, and I want to know what exactly is making him think that. I was like, I guess maybe the way Harry is bullying him, but also it's been months now because we know Charlie's birthday is canonically April 27th, so it's been almost 5 months.
Yeah, and Nick steps in, like he stepped in the last time. Like he didn't do much, there's reasons, but like he did say like, don't even start, like stop bullying them for no reason. Like,
but even beyond that, almost 5 months is a really long con for a bunch of teenage boys. Like this could have been like a month and done kind of thing. If that, yeah. I'm like, even a week, I feel like. But, and then I also was just like, also, is Tao not seeing what everyone else is seeing? Nick is not subtle. Like, forget the Charlie aspect of it, because it's very easy to kind of say, all right, well, he's just, Tao is just kind of like worried about Charlie's crush, but like, Nick is flirting back and then some.
Yeah. Hard, yeah.
Like, it's impossible to fake the way Nick is acting.
Tao is actively ignoring the signs.
Oh, yeah. He just wants to be right.
Yep.
But then they walk out of the bathroom, and Nick is standing there.
And Charlie looks at him, and Tao's like, ugh, just go. Which I'll see you at our lanes.
I hate it. I said, Tao says, ugh, just go. And I stopped liking him again.
And the good part's over.
Nick looks so sad.
He's so sad, and you can tell that he's like not sure how to express what he's feeling, and so he just breaks and wraps Charlie in the tightest, best looking hug.
Yes.
It looks like such a good hug.
Yeah.
And I love the animation here with the like swirls around them. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it's just like, Tao, I wish you could see this because you would see just how wrong you are. But also Tao can't see this because Nick's not ready.
Right.
And it's just, it's so complicated. And I just, I love them. And then we get more bowling.
And this time Elle wins.
And Tao asks why he's so bad. And then in direct parallel to the strong rugby arms, Elle says it's because his arms are basically twigs.
Mm-hmm. And then another great Tao line. He's like, I'm an extremely muscular individual, which is hilarious because he's not. He's not. Not even close.
You could break him in half. Like a stiff breeze could knock him over.
But this flirting between the two of them is top notch.
Yes. And I love that it's just like a very intentional parallel to Nick and Charlie earlier.
Yeah.
And then Tao goes to sit down and Nick goes to like try and talk to him.
Bold move, sitting directly next to him.
Like shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah. And doesn't look at him. He's just like, all right, I'm going to sit here and see what happens.
It's like the weirdest game of chicken I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, right.
But it's great because I paused it at one point just to like write down what Tao was saying. And I wish that I was not using Chrome because I tried to grab a screen grab, but Netflix on Chrome blacks out when you try and do screenshots. Mm-hmm. And it's just his look, like Nick looks so scared. Like he's like wide-eyed.
Nick is terrified, yeah. And his breathing, you can tell that his breathing like picks up. He's really scared. And like Tao is pretty intimidating here. Tao is not an intimidating person, but he's pretty intimidating here. It's like, I don't know if this thing with Charlie is a joke or not, but for some reason he really likes you and you're messing with him and I will not tolerate it. So consider this your final warning. And I feel really bad for Nick because
I truly believe that he was really good intentioned in going over there and that he wanted to try and have a like genuine, civil, honest conversation, or as honest as he's ready to have conversation with Tao, and then Tao has to go and say this.
Yeah, which pushes him right back into his closet.
Yeah. Like, yeah. And like all he can say is, yeah, you're right. You're a good friend.
Mm-hmm. Which we know he is absolutely not right, but that's easier for Nick at this point than coming out. Mm-hmm. Which I do think like he could have like doubled down on the friend stance, but like when you're faced with that moment, it's like that's a hard thing to process and be able to like, because he didn't go over there expecting Tao to say that, you know? So
then it's arcade time.
Yeah. Also, I love that whenever it cuts to Charlie and Elle, she says something about the dance machine, and he's like, I'm so scared of it, which I just thought that was the cutest line.
Same, Charlie. Same. I do not have the, like, proprioception for that. I was a dancer, but just something about the way that the, like, foot things are.
It's a lot of coordination that you have to have.
I remember, like, when, like, at the height of, like, DDR, anytime you would go to an arcade, like, there's always be someone on it and just, like, a massive crowd of people watching them.
Yeah, it's pressure.
That also stressed me out because I'm like, I don't want to go up there
and suck and everybody be watching. Yeah.
So the only time that I could play it, because the only time that wouldn't happen was at Chuck E. Cheese. So like they all are like going to the arcade section of the bowling alley, and Tao is like pulling Elle along. She's like, why are we running? And he's like, we have to get to the dance machine.
Yeah, before somebody occupies the dance machine.
But then, so this happens a couple of times. People say, because then later, Charlie says that they need to find the basketball machine. And neither of these times do we
don't see
these characters on, like, using the machine that they reference. And I'm like,
I feel like that is a case of the script was written before they saw the arcade.
Yeah. So the first, like, thing that we see is Nick tries to win a prize for Charlie at the claw machine.
A donut.
Like a good boyfriend.
But can we talk about who names a grab machine Max with 3 X's? Everybody knows what 3 X's mean.
Yeah.
Why? It every time I'm like, why?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe those are repurposed vending claw machines from a sex shop. I'm not here to judge.
Maybe.
But Nick is almost out of money, and Charlie's cutting Nick off.
Yeah, because he knows that those claw machines are a fucking ripoff.
Yeah. It's like, that's, if you're gonna play them, you have to give yourself, like, I am spending $3. If I do not have my prize after $3, I have to walk away.
We move on.
Yeah. And then Nick says that he overheard Charlie and Tao talking, and he apologizes and explains what was going on. And we get the her dog died line again.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie breaks my heart and says, basically, it's like, it's not like we're officially dating or anything.
Yeah. And Nick's face is like, shit.
Yeah. And it makes me think of when, I think it's in Bully, when they're going to the movies and Nick is talking to Tori, and like Nick has the Charlie is talking to Tori and has the flashback to when he like said to Ben, since we're boyfriends. And it's just like, it contextualizes a lot of what's going on here really well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, oh.
I am really proud of Nick though for like owning up to what he's done and like taking accountability for it, because that's hard as a teenager for sure. Like, I mean, it's hard in general, but like it's hard to have this conversation, especially like as a teen.
Mm-hmm. And then he also, like he says, I'm going to make it right. And I think that in the end, he does right by Charlie and he does right by Imogen. And I think that he's in a really difficult situation and he handles it really well, especially given that he's like 15, 16 years old.
Yeah. I do think that because he says, I'm going to make this right with Imogen. I'm going to tell her that I don't like her like that. Mm-hmm. And Charlie says, okay, but you can tell by his face that he's like, no, you're not. But thanks for saying that you're going to do that. Like, he doesn't really believe that Nick's going to do that.
Yeah. And I think, too, I just realized this. I'm like, it must also be giving him flashbacks to seeing Ben kissing that girl.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, there's so much. Mm-hmm. But then Charlie kind of shifts and tells Nick, no being sad on my birthday.
Well, that's after he says, like,
right.
I wish I had met you when I was younger. I wish I had known then what I know now.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, do I get that?
Don't
As
we
someone
all?
who like didn't even really register or radar my own sexuality until I was like 19 or 20. Like, the regret is relatable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't we all, Nick? Don't we all? And then Charlie says, no being sad on my birthday.
Mm-hmm. And Nick's like, okay, you want to open my present? Which he both wrapped and put in a bag. And I went back and it's in the comic also wrapped and put in a bag, which I'm like, yes, he would go the extra mile.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. I mean, he handmade this, like, put stickers. Also, the accuracy of this frame in the show is, like, pretty fucking exact to what it is in the comics. Like, the stickers and stuff that they got for it is, like, the attention to detail.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss.
Also, I wouldn't be surprised if the, like, gift bag and also gift wrap was intentional to, like, delay so that he had more time to contextualize the handmade nature of the gift.
That's fair.
Just like, let me just wrap this a little extra so I have more time to explain. And I'm also like, but Nick, handmade gifts are the best gifts.
And this gift is so good. It's so good. And Charlie's cheesing. His teeth are about to fall out.
Oh,
he is smiling so big.
my cheeks hurt just looking at it. And the way that Nick says that was just one of my favorite days ever. I'm like, it was one of my favorite days ever too, Nick.
Yeah. It was such a great day for all of us.
And then Nick says, I really like you.
And little sweet Charlie says, really?
It's like his eyes,
sweet baby.
His eyes light up. He's like a kid on Christmas. Nick's like,
which makes me. Sorry. Also, like, I can guarantee Ben never said those words.
Oh no.
So, like, that's another reason he's like, oh, like, he's not just kissing me. He actually likes me.
And then Nick is like, wasn't that obvious? Which mirrors in Boyfriends in a few episodes when Charlie asks if they're boyfriends. And Nick is like...
Wasn't that already established the first 10 times we made out?
Yeah.
I love it.
I love them. So then Nick is like, do you like me?
Obviously. And then we get our namesake.
Yeah. Nick asks for the first time, why are we like this?
So cute. I love it so much. And Charlie says, I want to kiss you so bad right now.
And Nick just looks around and says, okay. And I'm so proud of him.
Yes, absolutely. Right. And Charlie is being very careful, too, to be like, no, you don't have to. Like, we're in public. You don't have to. And Nick says, no, I want to.
Consent.
Which is like...
I know, I'm so proud of him, especially because, like, this could all go very wrong very fast if Tao turns the wrong corner at the wrong time.
Or just, like, anyone from their school.
Yeah, and it's a long kiss.
Yeah, I have notes about this kiss. This is an underrated kiss. People don't talk about this kiss enough because, first of all, they're in public. There may not be anyone around at this moment, but they're in a public place. Second of all, this is their first kiss that's not a surprise. This is one that they both talk about and consent to before just grabbing the other one and kissing them. And so it, like, means so much in so many different ways. And it starts out, like, so soft and slow, and then it heats up.
Yeah.
And it gets a little bit heavier, and Nick grabs Charlie's neck and, like, pulls him in. And then when it stops, Nick can't fucking breathe. He's like this has blown his mind.
Yeah.
I just think we should talk about this kiss more often.
Oh, yeah, it's great. My note says they are such dorks and I love them.
I have that rant that I just gave, and then in all caps, just these boys.
And then Charlie says they need to find the basketball machine, which we never see.
Yeah.
And so Charlie kind of runs off, and before Nick follows, he texts Imogen to cancel and set up like a alternative date to explain the situation. And I have a question.
Is it about when their date was supposed to be?
Yes! Because I'm like... So,
I did some math.
Because if we go off of Tao's timeline from earlier...
Right,
in the episode,
exactly.
Charlie's party started at 4. Nick came a little late. I'm guessing like 4:15, right?
Right. Like at the most.
And they've already played 2 rounds of bowling and been hanging out for a bit. So what fucking time is it?
Like, they've been playing that claw machine long enough that Charlie's cutting him off. So, like, it's gotta be, my guesstimation was, like, giving them some benefit of the doubt wiggle room. It is at least 5:30.
Oh,
if not, like, 6 or 6:30.
Yeah, no, I was thinking 6:30. I was like, it's 6:30. I'm like, what?
What time was your dinner? Because you were supposed to go to dinner and then a movie.
And your children, so you presumably have, like, a reason
need to be home by, like, 10, yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Like, how last minute was this cancellation? Like, at least he canceled it. He could have no-showed.
Yeah.
Which would have fucking sucked. But
and that's not Nick.
He should have canceled it before showing up at Charlie's birthday party, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm like, what? But then I stopped caring because we get the arcade montage of Tao and Elle falling in love.
This is a beautiful scene. I love the back and forth. Isaac would hit the coin machine.
Oh, he totally
Those fucking coin machines, he would hit that. Also, when we get to, I don't know how much back and forth you want to do. Like, Nick and Charlie are playing like a racing game, and
they're playing Mario Kart.
I guess it's Mario Kart, yeah. And then they go get slushies, and we're doing this back and forth close-up shot of Elle. And I was like, Elle's wings are so perfect.
Yes.
I wish I had a professional makeup artist to do my makeup every day when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, someone's got to draw the cat eye sharp enough to kill a man.
Yeah. And it would be Elle.
But yeah, so Tao and Elle are playing the Space Invaders game. And also because the other thing is it's expensive.
Yeah, I noticed.
Another one that's like $1
a full dollar
per player. So yeah, I just don't like it. So yeah, so they're playing that and falling in love. Isaac is playing the coin drop game, and he's like praying to the arcade gods that he wins, and he gets a decent, return on his investment.
Yeah.
Nick and Charlie are playing Mario Kart, and I pointedly noted, and not a basketball machine. And Charlie wins again, and Nick is like doesn't understand how Charlie always wins, which is like relatable because Eddie always beats me at like all of the racing games in arcades at home. And then they decide to get slushies. Charlie's like, "Do you want to get slushies?" And Nick's like, "Yes."
Oh, it's backwards. Nick says, "Do you want to get slushies?" And Charlie says, "God, yes."
And then we go back to Tao and Elle, and like they're like frantically trying to get more coins out of like Elle's bag or whatever because they're out of their tokens or whatever. And they accidentally make eye contact. And I love that the fireworks are like they mimic the Space Invaders sound and like the visuals from Space Invaders. Mm-hmm. But it's like the same like fireworks. I said there's little arcade sparky thingies.
That's the technical term.
Oh, yeah. But, like, Elle is falling hard. And then there's just this brief moment where there's just panic in her eyes.
So he starts playing again, and she continues to look at him. And she's smiling and, like, yes, like, oh, I really like this person. And then you can see the moment that his voice creeps back in her head and says, "We'll always put our friendship first and we won't change anything." That speech he gave is coming back in her brain. And then she starts to like panic and be like, "Oh, I can't be having these feelings." To which my note was, Tal, you literally cock block yourself there, my guy. Like, you did that to yourself.
Yeah. And also, I didn't write down what Tao said, but he's like oblivious that this is happening. He's just talking about how he's like an alien killing machine and how he was born to kill aliens.
Yeah, that's his line.
Yeah.
I was born to kill aliens, which is because Charlie also says, I was born to race.
Yeah.
When he wins against Nick. And then Tao says, I was born to kill aliens.
So cute.
So then it cuts to the park. Mm-hmm. And it's the next day. And Nick is at the park with Nellie, waiting for Imogen. And before we get into this scene, I just have to say, to your liking, Imogen's looking very bisexual in this scene.
Yes!
With her backpack and her cuff jeans.
It's happening. It's happening. So Imogen walks up and is like, is this Nellie? And I wrote in all caps, how have Nick's friends not met Nellie?
I think it makes sense that Imogen, I don't think that she's someone he would have had like around, but like I bet Cy and Otis have met Nellie.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
I really get the feeling she's like a morning picnic table at the Gates friend. Not like really like someone that hangs out with them outside of school.
Not like a part of the group.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love this conversation. Like, I feel like this is a really important step towards what happens in the next episode where he tells Tara and Darcy about him and Charlie. Like, it's very clear this is all that he feels ready to tell Imogen at this point, but it's a very vulnerable and honest conversation, which is what Imogen deserves. Like, given that he canceled on her and given that he never should have said yes in the first place, he does right by her and is very vulnerable and very honest.
Yeah, and he's kept her feelings in mind from the beginning. Like, he knows that this is like a big risk to hurting her, like from the beginning. And so he has put a lot of thought into how to gently let her down and protect her at the same time. And I think that says a lot about his character.
Yeah, and he brought Nellie to soften the blow.
Yeah, he's so thoughtful.
Nick explains that he doesn't like her like that. And he kind of, it's not you, it me's her. But then he explains it and he says, I just don't think we really fit well together. I'm not sure that I fit with you or other people in our friend group. And I'm like really crying here. And this is because we had briefly talked about the like, there is a community that reads Nick as autistic. And like, this is kind of where I'm like, okay, I think maybe this might be part of where I see them getting it from. But like, I just also just feel it so deeply in my core as like a baby bi, like going back to being in high school as a baby bi and like trying to figure this out. And I also, again, I just have a lot of feelings. And that because Imogen says, but we've been friends for so long. We hang out every morning. I'm like, Imogen, that is not a solid basis for a relationship.
I think that line was directed more towards because he said anyone else in our friend group.
Yeah, that's true too. But then Nick says, do you ever feel like you're only doing things because everyone else is and you're scared to change or do something that might confuse or surprise people? Your real personality has been like buried inside you for a really long time. And I feel this so deeply. Like when I combine like thinking about like figuring out my sexuality as a like late teens, early 20s year old. And I was also going through like a really big friendship breakup at the time with the person who actually I've referred to previously as like the Tao to my Charlie. After that friendship fell apart, and I'm also kind of like coming to these realizations a bit more like fully and like to a point where I'm ready to be like out. Like I'd kind of like accepted it for myself a few years prior, but I'm like ready to be out and all of this is happening. And I'm also like realizing that after this friendship fell apart, I lost a lot of myself in that friendship. And so the way that Nick is talking, I'm just like, ugh, yes, this.
Yeah. Also, and the way that Imogen looks at him,
Yes.
she feels it too. She knows. And my note about this is that, like, I think she does understand. And I think it's because, like, Imogen strikes me as the type of girl that has trouble with female friendships because she's bold, she's confident, and that is intimidating to an insecure teenager. Like,
yeah.
And insecure adults as well. But, like, that's the kind of girl that would have trouble with females in high school, and that's why she hangs out with the boys all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure she's had her fair share of friendship breakups because she doesn't quite fit with them because of how she is. Like, and so I think she understands that as well.
Yeah. She says she gets it, and I want to hug them both. Because I just want to be like, I've been there. It gets better. Oh my God. Watching this show for the first time as an adult, and like obviously it came out while we were adults, so we didn't have a chance to watch it as teenagers. But watching this show as an adult is so healing because I feel like I can just talk to my inner child
past self
through these characters. And I'm just like, it's better. Like, I know that it's cliche, but it gets better.
Yeah.
And this is also when I start liking Imogen, is this scene. Like,
also, like, when she says she no, I think I get it. I understand. The relief.
Yeah.
That, like, his whole body relaxes. He's like, oh, okay, I did it, and everything's okay. She understands. She's not mad. And I do think, going back to what you said about, like, this is a big step for him for what we see in the next episode with Tara and Darcy. Like, if she had reacted differently, there's a good chance that we wouldn't get what we got in the next episode because he wouldn't have been able to have this conversation with other people. He would have to, like, do some reprocessing.
Oh, yeah.
So I think, thank you, Imogen,
yes.
for being good.
Oh, my God.
A great person. She's a good friend.
I cannot wait for the friendship between Nick and Imogen to develop more in season 2.
Yes.
And if it doesn't, we riot at dawn in Paris.
Yes. Yes.
But I love this conversation so much, and I think it's so important, and it's just so good.
It's good. Yeah, it's really good. And so then our last scene is them back at the school gate on the picnic tables, and you can tell, like, it's established as soon as we see them again that everything's great with them. They're right back to normal, back to their friendship, how it was, as if the date thing never even happened, which is another thing. Like, Imogen is such a good friend.
Yes.
She is such a good friend. It would have been totally understandable for her to be like, I need some space. I need some time. But she just, like, takes it and runs with it and is like, cool, we'll be friends. Let's go back to how we were. Mm-hmm. And I love that Harry's like, so how'd your date go? And Nick is visibly uncomfortable, and she just takes the lead.
And I think she does a great job.
Yes.
Where she's like, we've decided we're better off as friends. Which is not a lie. They did.
Right. Yes. And then, of course, Harry has to push it and be like, oh, what did Nick do? And she's like, no, I just think I can do better, which, like, is another good deflection of being like, let me make a joke about me. And I just think she's such a good friend. I'm so proud of both of them in this episode.
I wrote, Imogen says she just thinks she could do better, which is great. I love that for her.
Yeah. And this whole time, Nick is trying to disappear.
Yeah. Because, like, what do you do? And, I think that this is, like, a big step because, like, he's done with Harry.
Yeah.
Like, he's been done with Harry, but he's
done. He doesn't even respond. He says nothing to him. He's like, completely ignoring him. Which, like, and Harry says, like, you're proper thick with girls sometimes. And then as we, like, pan out, you can hear him saying to the others, like, every time. It's something every time. Yeah. It's like, it's none of your fucking business, Harry. Are you trying to date Nick?
I mean, it's not out of the question. He is. Yeah. Actually, Eddie mentioned that too. He was kind of like, he was like joking, but it's like, it's there.
I'm going to bring it up every time.
There is definitely enough, like, in text to read it that way. But yeah, so the episode ends.
Yeah, I Want to Be With You starts playing, and that is one that is it's noted in the comics on the iPod. You see this song, and so I think this is like the one that I noted that made it onto the soundtrack. That was from.
Mm-hmm. There's like the little birds that like fly up.
Yeah, the little animated birds. Yeah. So the episode's over, and we had nary a scene with Tori. No Tori in this episode.
Unacceptable.
Sad about it. What is your quote? What's your favorite quote?
Fuck, I forgot about a quote.
Uh-oh. I have my winner, and then I have 2 runners up.
Ooh.
So my winner is going to be Why Are We Like This? For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
As an anxious person who constantly is like, why am I acting this way? Like, it just like hits home. And also, it's adorable, it's repeated, and it's our namesake. I have to choose it.
Yeah.
My runners up were both Tao. And one of them is, I can't believe this was all just a ploy to see my incredibly erotic dance moves. Perfect. And then I was going to say I'd send a strongly worded DM, but murder is fine too. Those are my 2 runner-ups.
Yeah. I think I have to go with the combination exchange of, well, her dog died, and then not following, like just that.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. It's great.
That's a solid choice. What about your Heartstopper scale, which I have dubbed Heartstopometer?
Heartstopometer.
A lot to say, but that is what ends up on our socials.
A 4.
That's what I gave it to.
I say solid 4.
Because a lot of the times I'm a neutral, but then like the bowling scenes where they're flirting hardcore get me going, and then the kiss is just like code fucking blue. So I have to give it a 4.
Yeah, so definitely, it's a 4.
Which is a step up from last episode, so.
Yeah. So that about wraps us up for today. And of course, this is a bi-weekly podcast by 2 bisexuals.
Which, shout out to Semi-Psychotic Bubblegum Pink for commenting on our last episode asking, if y'all got episodes already recorded, did you just make it a bi-weekly podcast so that you could say it's bi-weekly by bisexuals? And yes, but also no, because we're just like ahead of recording schedule.
That being said, we will be back in 2 weeks to talk about episode 6, Girls.
If you want to follow us online, we are at Why Are We Cast on all platforms.
And until next time,
bye.
Bye.